Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. You're on episode 15 of season 5, if you're just joining in. And if you just joined us, I am Robyn, about a tired witch on everything. And I'm joined by the beautiful, the flawless, the effortless Maria of Maria the Arcane.
The effortless, yes. Let's tell my wife that. Definitely effortless. I'm perfect.
If you just joined us this week, last week we did announce that our next class is going to be on October 26th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This class is going to be hosted by Aiden Watchter, the author of Six Ways and Changelings, and we're going to be doing, I was just talking to him about it, I'm really excited. It's going to be a class on animism, and he has a little mini ritual for you guys to do and a meditation, and I'm really excited. I think this is going to be so good.
I'm very excited about it.
If you are not familiar with Aiden's work, he is one of my favorite authors, pretty much of all time. So I'm really jazzed for this. Unfortunately, I will be missing it and have to watch it later, but
lame.
It's really messed up of my brother and sister-in-law to get married on this class day. It's like they weren't even thinking about me.
What I like is my sister is getting married the week after your brother's getting married, because of course.
Of course. So it just, of course. So it's really, the people are out here. They're not thinking of us. They're not thinking about our interests and cares. If you're listening, Morgan and Austin, I know you're not, but if you're listening, that was really selfish of you. So
she says it with love and understanding.
I say it with nothing but hate. And as a reminder, this month we are taking spooky story submissions for Coffee Talk episodes. We're going to talk about ghosts this episode as well. But if you're somebody who has a good spooky story and you want to send it to us, you can email us at submissions@coffeeandcauldrons.com, or you can send us a voicemail at 351-207-0799. And as a reminder, if you do leave us a voicemail, they have a 3-minute cap. Just call back and we'll splice together. Yeah. Don't stress.
And if you're a nurse or work at a retirement home, we want to hear from you so bad. Please tell us your spooky stories, because we know you have them.
I'm trying so hard to get my uncle to come on here. He is so not about it.
He just needs to write his stories out. I need to hear the stories.
I'm not really a podcast guy. I was like, what if you were, though? This is very much so a no means no situation, so I do need to respect his wishes, but what if his wishes were yes?
Manifesting that for you.
Yes, if we could all just light our candles to summon John to tell us his stories, that would be so good.
So good.
If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about upcoming lunar phases and how you can utilize those in your magical practice. The nearest one to this episode coming out is actually going to be on Day of the Dead, on All Saints Day. It's the day after Halloween. It is going to be a new moon in Scorpio. At first I thought it was on Halloween, but that's actually the dark moon, and I don't know how to read. So I think that it's really important that we just know that I'm very, very pretty, but I am illiterate. So
you're so pretty. So pretty.
Gorgeous girls need to know how to read.
Why do you need brains when you have all that beauty?
I literally, first of all, for those of you who are looking at me from YouTube right now, I think it's safe to say that we can all assume that I'm a gorgeous, gorgeous girl and I'm a trophy wife.
Yeah.
Many saying this.
Everyone's saying it.
Everyone's saying it. Okay, so that being said, the new moon in Scorpio is first of all, new moons are very much so ones of, fresh starts, setting intentions, blah, blah. We know that. If you are new, now you know that. But the new moon in Scorpio is very specifically a good time for transformation and introspection. That's like right off the bat, really good for that. And especially pairing it with the fact that it's on the Day of the Dead or All Saints Day, depending on how you celebrate. Mm-hmm. Both of these are very good for letting go of grief. Letting go, that feels very blasé to put it. That's probably not the best way to put it, but to confront grief and transform it. So very specifically, when we're looking at that Day of the Dead, it is all about celebration of the lives that people had lived and the fact that they get to come back and see us, and kind of wherever you, your heritage background is, this period of time is one of celebrating those that we have lost. Whether you think the spirits are coming back, whether you feel as though your ancestors are visiting you, whatever, whether you feel the veil is very thin and witching hour is at an all-time high, like whatever your specific flavor of belief is, it's kind of a universal agreement that this period of time is very big for spirits. And so because the new moon in Scorpio is one of transformation, I feel if you are somebody who is dealing with any form of grief, this is a good time to do spell work that is transforming that grief and making it, not disappear. That's not realistic, but instead acknowledging it and celebrating the life of the person or pet or persons that you have lost. Yeah. Of course, grief is a journey. You're not going to do one spell on one new moon and suddenly you're cured. But it is something that you can kind of keep in your back pocket and work towards. And maybe this is the first step to doing that for you. Yeah. Same with the introspection half of it. Maybe we are going to, instead of trying to transform it, have a Dom supper, have a meal with spirits where you're going to kind of pause and reflect on the life they had, the relationship you had, etc., and make that more of a little ritual for you. Yeah. What do you think, Maria?
So, I do want to talk about the new moon in Scorpio, but I also want to talk about the dark moon that happens on Halloween.
Do it. Talk about it.
The new moon in Scorpio, for me, Scorpios are, boundary setters. They're not afraid to, just set boundaries and be very vocal about it and even fight back if they need to. So I think, especially on a new moon, is set, putting those boundaries into place so they can build up over time. Because even maybe thinking about setting some new wards, but I typically say wait until Scorpio full moon to do wards and stuff like that on the house. But new moon in general, I think setting boundaries is probably the best bet. If there's anyone you need to set boundaries with, you can set intentions towards that. Or even if you need to start setting boundaries with yourself, maybe you're spending too much money on certain things. Maybe you let people walk all over you and it's time for, to stop that. And, those are just some things to consider. Now, the dark moon on Halloween, on All Hallows Eve.
Hallows Eve.
To me, Scorpio is a very liminal sign. It is a water sign, but for me, especially with all the correspondences of mind, it is also a fire sign. It's one of those signs that sits in the in-between, just like Aquarius with water and air. So it makes it so liminal. And, All Hallows Eve has that energy where everyone thinks it's also a liminal time. So the energy is there to work with. So if you really want to dig into spirit work on All Hallows Eve, it would be the perfect time to do that, especially if you incorporate water and fire. Maybe you want to do, scrying with water and a candle.
Yeah.
Or even if you just want to do a mirror, and scry that way. But if that, scrying is not your cup of tea, do some automatic writing, pull some tarot cards with the intent to communicate with your guides, ancestors, or any type of spirits you want to communicate with. But yeah, that's Those are my thoughts.
I like it.
Thanks.
I like your thoughts. You have a beautiful brain.
So do you. And beauty.
Thanks.
So beautiful.
True.
So, every podcast episode, we like to talk about tarot, like our favorite subject. But, so on other seasons, we have gone over individual meanings of cards. And last season, we went over like the whole sections in tarot, like the minor arcana, the major arcana, the aces, the kings, the queens, like all of that. But this season, we're concentrating on the themes we see in tarot and like kind of like picking themes and the cards that fit into those certain themes. But so this week, I thought it would be kind of fun. I know that this will really pop up in readings for many people, but yeah,
it does.
It's still
everyone
fun.
Is constantly
constantly wanting to pull cards for this 100% all year long. But I thought it would be fun to pick cards that represent Halloween. So for my first card, I picked the Devil. Now, okay. I think it revolves around, you know, being scared, but wanting to be scared. Like we can leave any time and enjoy like the scariness and the spookiness of everything going on. Maybe it's like watching a scary movie. Maybe it's going to a haunted house and just enjoying the vibes. The Devil doesn't always have to be like doom and gloom. Sometimes it's things beyond our control or even situations we put ourselves in just for, you know, that's just some giggles. And I feel like Halloween definitely represents the things that we put ourselves through that, like, you know, considering it from an outside lens, it's like, why do people do that? That's so stupid. Why would you go to a haunted house and pay for people to, like, scare the shit out of you?
You say that, but I don't know if you've seen in the Discord, the Patreon Discord, but I keep being like, I keep reading these books before bed, these scary books, and they're not scary. Who has got a book that will actually terrorize me? I'm looking to be afraid.
That's like, I think, I haven't read like I have read scary books, but none that like is like a movie. You know what I mean? That will actually scare you. I think like when we're reading, we can kind of like set a boundary. You have?
I have. I've totally read books, but see, that's my problem. I don't set a boundary. I just blast through the book, and I'm just like, I'm having a bad time, but we gotta finish this show. I am petrified, but I will finish.
Me going through a haunted house. But I love it. I love it so much. It's so stupid, but I love going to haunted houses. But anyways, I digress. But okay, so the next card I picked is the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups reminds me of like the whole process of giving out candy. No one's paying for this candy, you know, well, obviously the people who paid for it to hand it out paid for the candy, but they're just giving it out to all these kids. Like, it's just a showing of like unconditional love, of support and community and togetherness, and just doing things just because we enjoy them and that it provides happiness for others. I think that's a huge part of like what the Six of Cups is. And then there's the whole nostalgia factor of the Six of Cups. I mean, I think many of us love Halloween because of how it made us feel like when we were younger, like going out in our little costumes and trick-or-treating and getting scared. Like, when even as adults, we still want to experience those things and give those even to our own child. So we're kind of like giving that nostalgia back. So other kids will grow up with that same nostalgia. But my final card is the Six of Swords. Now, this one for me, like, is very like the communicating with spirits and stuff, like on All Hallows Eve and around this season, and, you know, like letting our guides and ancestors help lead our way through, like, you know, kind of like heavy times. It, you know, as an adult, we're constantly going through heavy times, so leaning on our guides and ancestors for support is a great like little network that we can tap into, and I think that card is definitely pushes us to remember that, and that we should reach out to our guides and ancestors when we need a little bit of help and need some direction in dealing with the weight and baggage that we carry. But yeah, how about you? What are your 3?
So I will be very honest. I did interpret Halloween as the entirety of like the 4-day period and not just Halloween. Okay.
No, do it.
It kind of goes to our overall topic of ghosts and ghost communication. Okay. Because I do very strongly believe that kind of window of time, there is a reason that there's this universal agreement and understanding that spirits come out at this time. Okay. So the first one I picked is death. And death, of course, Halloween, blah, blah, blah. But it also is about, like, letting go of things and being accepting of situations that perhaps we don't want to be accepting of. And for some people, that's being scared. That's ghosts coming. That's witching hour. That's all those things, right? It doesn't have to be this literal interpretation of, like, releasing energies and desires, blah, 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 as death normally is. The second one I picked is the 5 of Cups reverse. So upright, the 5 of Cups is all about, focusing on something so bad we're not seeing the world around us. And the 5 of Cups reverse, when it's like in reverse, is about kind of starting to break free from this linear perspective. So again, going back to my personal interpretation of Halloween, it's starting to see ghosts and spirits. It's starting to perhaps get messages from beyond, etc. Which, again, to me is very much giving Halloween.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the 10 of Pentacles. And the 10 of Pentacles kind of goes off of what you were saying with, like, trick-or-treaters and people giving candy to kids and the community that we have built and that we participate in, right? The 10 of Pentacles has this community vibe. It's got who can we lean on? And sometimes leaning on people doesn't need to be this huge, you're going through a tragedy and you need your community, you need them for support. Sometimes leaning on your community is just knowing that if you send your little one out there and they knock on the door, they're going to get a little piece of candy. And what that community building looks like with it, right? And then it also has, again, kind of going back to spirit communication, the 10 of Pentacles can be your spirit community. What messages are they sending you? How are they uplifting you? How are you giving them thanks for being with you, even if you can't talk with them 365? Yeah.
Yeah. I love all that.
Halloween to me is so much more than just trick-or-treating, and I'm sure this is the same for you, and it's the same for so many people. But for me, it is such a balance between, like, our world and the other world, and what that looks like.
I really think, like, while we are celebrating death, but it's still a celebration of life. Even like previous lives, and like everyone's celebrating it. And
the quickest way to feel alive is to be afraid.
That is true. It's true.
Tell me that's why people go in haunted houses, is because they want to feel something. And the quickest way to be reminded, like a freaking smack to the wall of your mortality, is to be afraid.
It's true.
Primal fear. I mean,
adrenaline junkies. That's what it does to us.
Yeah.
So this episode, we thought it would be kind of fun to dig into spirit communication and ghost communication, like our methods and our opinions. I don't know, like it's a very fun topic, and I'm very excited to talk about it. My witchling actually just started a ghost club at their high school, like a ghost investigating club, and it's so cute. Cool. So it's been cool. It's been the hot topic of our house. So I'm very excited to.
Their club knows who Maria is, you guys. Maria's kind of famous.
Embarrassing.
I love it. I love it.
I don't want a bunch of high schoolers knowing like where my social media is. No, thank you.
I'm glad that they do. I'm glad that they do.
Well, hopefully, their
you're
parents
gonna be like,
so they can come over and stuff.
Your social media is so impactful, like visually, that I hope that they talk about you and like how beautiful all your art is.
Aw, thanks.
You're welcome. I will never say a nice thing again, so.
Such a Cancer. Jeez.
I don't know what you mean by that.
You and Scarlett. You little sassy sass pods. Anyways. But I thought we would start off with talking about like our protection measures that we take.
Yes.
What are some of your protection measures?
Salt and iron. I'm a really, 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 really big believer in iron. It's one of the oldest forms of protection, both literally and magically. Iron crosses above your door, and I don't mean cross like the Christian cross. I mean literally an X cross made with iron nails, coffin nails. I have recommended and used in the past iron jewelry that we wear, and we've like charmed or enchanted specifically for protection, as well as salt. Salt is a purifier. It's a protector. Salt is something that can push out bad energy, but it can also push out good energy. And so I use it specifically for when we're done with ghost communication as like a cleanse. To just get rid of any lingering peoples that I don't want there. I really recommend it as like a spray. Yeah. You get sea salt and water and you make it into like, so it's mixed together and you just walk through your house spritzing. It also has no scent if you do it that way. So
yeah. Smart.
Himalayan salt is good for that too. And I know that Himalayan salt is good for like also mundane cleansing, like for your lungs and pollen and stuff like that. So it's also just good in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
So for me, one of the main things I do, so I work with Hecate. And so like I always tell her that I am ready for like communication, since she is the one that can like help like spirits like cross over and stuff like that. So I just say like when I am done communicating, like obviously my guides and stuff can stay, but if I'm speaking to like a different spirit, I'm like, can you please usher them back to, where they were. But then I also just like, I already have protective wards in my house, and like on the thresholds and stuff like that. And part of that is for like spirits like coming in and out of the house. I use black salt for that. And I also use hyssop and a little bit of garlic. I just use the skins of the garlic because, garlic powder is like very garlicky. But I do use the skins just so the correspondence is there. And then also I use lavender before I do any sort of spirit communication, even with my own guides and like working with my clients' guides. I find that if there is like a negative spirit, it kind of like settles things down so they can communicate better. Because like the whole correspondence with lavender, it's been used to ward off like baneful like spirits and stuff like that. But I really just feel like it just settles and calms the energy down so communication happens easier. And then also it like protects me as a reader where they're not like all up in my face. But yeah, that's what I do. And I always ask like if I'm communicating or anything like that, I'm also asking Hecate to help them like leave when it's time for them to leave. I also ask my guides and my ancestors to watch over me and make sure that like no one like sticks around. And if I am somewhere else, like, we went to a haunted hotel over the summer. While nothing happened, I still want to be like, can you watch over us and make sure like nothing follows us home? So I definitely involves my guides and stuff like that in protective measures. But yeah. But what were you going to say?
Do you have any tips for people on how to make spirit communication a little less scary?
Okay. I think if you're just starting out, please don't watch any scary movies that involve like spirit communication. I feel like, especially when you're just getting into it, it's so easy to get into your own head. And like, I've heard people like get freaked out that like, oh, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to open them and there's going to be a bunch of shadow people around. Like most shadow people, they're just spirits, like, and they're not going to hurt you. They're just not fully manifesting. But I digress. But I think, yeah, just distancing yourself from what pop culture says what spirits are and working with spirits helps a lot, because it's not like it is in the movies. Not every single spirit you're going to meet is going to be baneful or evil. I think that is like, what, 1 out of 99 spirits that you meet. Like it's not as, and I think spirits are such like huge pranksters. I think there's some of them that are so bored that they just decide to start fucking with people because it's fun. I mean, if you had all of eternity as a spirit, wouldn't you want to mess around with people just for the hell of it to kind of like get a rise out of people? I mean,
yeah.
But I think a lot of, and then also the baneful spirits, I think a lot of them are misunderstood and they're like scared and they don't know how to interact or anything like that. And I think approaching that in a compassionate manner is very, very important. And I also think like having those protective measures that we talked about at the beginning, like will help. You'll know that there's things in place to protect you and to keep your space safe. Yeah. But how about you? What are your recommendations?
Well, first of all, the first tip that I would have for making things less scary is remember that ghosts are just people. People, just like you meet in real life, are complicated. Some of them are really wonderful and great. Some of them are pranksters, like you said. Some of them are just kind of dicks. And I think that there has become this culture online, specifically, where we've got creators that exist that want to make you feel like ghost communication is like a movie. And that draws clicks, right? It just does.
Oh, yeah, and it does.
But also not even just online. TV shows, it draws views. And the views is to make people think that these ghosts are terrifying and scary. And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with being afraid and having jump scares, etc. But the reality is when you do most ghost hunting, or investigating, whatever phrasing you want to use it as, things are more than likely not going to happen. Maybe something will happen, but
it's actually very chill. It is so typically so chill. Barely anything happens, and it's like large periods where nothing happens, and then it will get something.
Now, like, of course, if you were to go to like an extremely haunted asylum, like yeah, probably something is definitely going to happen. But if you're just like in a hotel room or something like that, the odds are, or at home, the odds are it's going to be pretty chill. And I think that the best way to make it less scary is to unsubscribe from this notion that exists in media, that everything is ha, ha, ha. And also unsubscribe from the notion that everything needs to be haunted in this like dramatic or drastic way. It's just not that way. It's just not. And I think that the sooner we all start to normalize what haunted actually looks like and the sliding scale of how extreme something can be, meanwhile how like minimal something can be, and how both of these are very valid and also very real experiences, then things start becoming less scary because we realize that just like any aspect of life, ghosts are people, life is a spectrum, the afterlife is a spectrum.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, maybe we enjoy the entertainment value of ghost stories in media as exactly that, entertainment and not real life reflections of what hauntings look like.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but like, there's a lot of ghost shows that just like they do it on purpose.
Do you remember the one that blew up ghosts that they put in crystals? I don't remember what it was called, but they were like, we've trapped the ghost in a crystal and now we've blown the crystal up. And it's like, first of all, imagine if they actually were killing, air quote, the ghost they put in it. How fucked up is that? How fucked is your day that you're just a ghost traveling and suddenly you're in a crystal and then that crystal you get double dead? What the fuck is that about? Second of all, spirits, if you trap them in something and then you blow that something up, you've just re-released it. Hello? What in the fucking Ghostbusters was that?
They needed something new. And it's so funny on the ghost shows because you can literally tell like when they actually get real evidence because you could see it on their face that is actually
primal fear in their faces.
Well, also excitement, especially the ones that love it. Like they're like, oh my god, we got something, and it's like, but ma'am, you just got something like 10 minutes ago. Why weren't you so excited about that one, huh?
Bingo.
But anyways, so what methods do you use to make it easier to communicate with spirits?
So I'm a really big believer in prepping the scene. Okay. So as somebody who works specifically with spirits and the dead, I keep getting this feedback that people don't know that I am a death witch. I practice death folk magic. That's what I do. So I will emphasize that. But I'm a very big believer in setting the scene. And I specifically choose to set the scene with things that are historically and through practice connected most with the dead. So this is burning incense of sandalwood and myrrh. Both of these have been used in embalming historically for the dead. And not just embalming like our modern idea of embalming, but like this goes back to like ancient Egypt embalming. Frankincense as well. I also like to prep myself in the same way. So if I'm like planning to do like hardcore spirit communication, I take a prep bath. So I make a bath that has the same ingredients in it. Obviously, I am not giving this advice to people blindly. If you are going to be putting or touching frankincense and myrrh in any scenario, nevertheless submerging your whole body and orifices in it, please don't be pregnant. Please don't be breastfeeding. These things can seriously hurt a baby. So take that into consideration. Not medical advice. But I'm a really big believer in prepping the scene for that. So I get out those sort of incense. If I want to do some hardcore stuff, I take a bath with it. And then I set out things for spirits as though they'd come from a long journey of travel. So I leave out chocolate for them. I leave out usually bread, like rolls, not Hawaiian rolls, like traditional dinner rolls. A glass of water. I put out rum, and then I get out candles. Because you think of it like them coming from a really long hike to come see you. It's also a gratitude thing, right? It's a thank you for talking with me. Here is some food. Here is some water. Here is some drink. Tobacco is another really big one that I put out for that because most people, historically speaking, have been inhalers of cancer sticks. So yeah, I put all those things out and then I try to make myself as open to receiving messages as I can be. And I like to keep a journal next to me. That way, in case like an idea pops in my head that is outside of whatever spirit communication I'm using, I note it down because maybe it'll be relevant, maybe it won't. But I know I harp on this so much on the Discord, or not the Discord, the podcast, but keeping a journal near you at all times when you're doing stuff like this is so important. What about you?
So for me, it's all about like getting in the right headspace, getting into that liminal like zone in my body. And so I do that by breath work, like taking, you know, those deep breaths and waiting till I get like very, very tingly. And just like kind of like going into that meditative state and like letting myself drift. Even if like I'm going to be opening my eyes and like doing some automatic writing, or if I'm doing, you know, some scrying and stuff like that, it just like puts me into that zone. Unless like I'm hedge crossing, and hedge crossing is all about, you know, getting into that zone and like actually going to the spirit world to communicate with specific beings. But I do that often. Trying to think what else. And I'm a big fan of, okay, this is not for everyone, so definitely make sure that it's okay for your tummy and all that for you to have it. But I do like to make mugwort and Damiana tea. Yeah, and drinking that before I do any sort of spirit communication. And then to kind of like call spirits and stuff like that, I always use like a bell. And with the like calling like specific people, or just like specific like energies of people. Like if I'm working like with my guides and I want to call upon any ancestors who are queer, I would just be like, I'm calling out to anyone who may have been queer in their, you know, in their lives.
I'm thinking of the like Billy on the Street thing, where he was like, lesbians!
Exactly. And you're just like ringing the bell. And then I like to call the fates too, before I do spirit communication. Like I have like a pentagram that I also use to call the elements, but I also use it to call the three fates. And I also do I call upon the guardians of the past. I call upon the guardians of the present. I call upon the guardians of the future. And with that all in mind, like I'm asking for my guides. I'm asking for my ancestors. I'm asking for spirits of place. I'm asking for my past life selves. I'm asking for like anything like, you know, potentially from the future. But yeah, that is what I do to get into the right headspace.
I like it.
Yeah. It works for me. So maybe it'll work for you too.
How do you like to communicate with people? So like we've talked about prepping, but in the actual form of communication, what does that look like for you?
Okay, so my two very, very favorite, three. I'll say three. Yeah. So tarot is my number one, obviously. Like, it's just my comfort. I know how to read the cards. I know how to interpret them. So it's just like very easy. And then the other one is meditation. Like, and I don't want to call it meditation because it's like hedge crossing, but it's not just me like, you know, zoning out and like tuning in. Instead of tuning in, I'm tuning outwards, if that makes sense. And I receive like images that way, communications that way. It's my second favorite method. But my third one is definitely automatic writing. I love automatic writing. It's kind of like a meditation all of its own, because you're just like, you know, writing and stuff like that. I want to do like what, you know, our friend Amanda does, Amanda Paulson, where she like draws instead of writes. But I'm just, as much as I am a photographer, I cannot pick images out of like, you know, just automatic drawing. Like it just does not work for me. But automatic writing has been very helpful. Like if I just need to actually hear some words instead of just imagery, because some of the times like when spirits communicate with imagery, I'm like, okay, I know what that's
All
about.
right.
Sure.
Sure.
I always like talking to my clients about it, and I'm like, I saw this. Does it make sense for you? I don't know what it means.
Mean anything? Does that mean anything to you?
But so how about you? What are your favorite methods?
I will back up agree with every single thing you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also really big on we've talked about omen walks before on here, right? I've talked about
I love omen walking. That's one of my
yeah.
favorite.
Okay, so we've talked about omen walks before.
I'm adopting that.
For those of you who are brand new, you've never heard me talk about that before. That is when you meditate and then go on a walk with the intention of getting a specific sign for yes or no questions. It's kind of like using a pendulum, but instead of if you sway to the right and left, then it's a yes, and forward back it's a no type thing. Mm-hmm. Instead, it becomes if I go on this walk, are you with me? Show me a sign that is hot pink. And then you're out there and you see a man walk by and he's wearing a hot pink shirt. There's your sign, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing I really like doing is grave sits. Where you go out to the graveyard and you just listen. I am somebody who has clairaudient background, like a background in that, and tendencies. So sometimes I can hear things a little bit clearer than others. But if you get yourself, I believe, in a true trance state, you can hear things.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
which also sometimes doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah. Think about, what are those things called? The obelisk? Is that what it's called? Those little tools that are red.
Yeah, exactly.
Brown. Go away. It's a lot like that. And you're just like,
it
okay,
is. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying ostrich in my head. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with that, but okay. So, yeah, those are I'm fully in agreement with you. Tarot, also oracle decks. I have a couple oracle decks that I use specifically for spirit communication, one of which you gave me for my birthday, my Memento Mori deck. I was going to do a post on that actually soon.
I love those. And I love how Claire has, the deck that also is... It's supposed to be an extension of it, but it's for people, and you just shuffle the people deck and lay it down. And she also has a timing deck, and it's
so
just
good.
Just chef's kiss. The Memento Mori stuff is so good.
If you're listening, Claire, I would love for you to send me the extension of the Memento Mori deck. Please send help. I'm so cute and so poor.
I love this stuff so much. I signed up for her Patreon, so I got extra cards.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
I know. Oh, I do want to talk about a method that I learned about actually through a TV show, and I was surprised to learn that it was actually people do use it. It's called Charlie Charlie. Have you heard of it? Okay, so you make a 4-square thing on a piece of paper, and it says yes, no on different parts, and you put pencils, one laying on one line and one laying on the other, so they're overlapping each other, and it's supposed to ghost is supposed to move the pencil to yes or no on the on the other pencil, kind of using it as a, what am I looking for? Just something sitting on top of another thing, so it's going around. Yeah. But yeah, apparently people actually do that. I've never heard of it, and I asked the Discord, and apparently people have done it, and they find it it's a lot of fun. And I'm like, wow, kind of want to try it.
Try it. Tell me if you like it. I want to do it.
Yeah. But
our last question to tackle before we abandon this topic forever, never to talk about it again.
Never.
How can you tell the difference between if it's a ghost or if it's just your imagination? How do you know?
How do I know? I don't know. Now that I've got... Okay, so when I was first starting, really diving into spirit communication, it was a little bit harder to distinguish. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do think, like, if you see a spirit, like, its form and stuff like that, doing the whole, like, close your eyes, blink, you know, and then look back. And though I will say sometimes spirits do just, like, disappear when you do that, but some of them will stay. And that, to me, is, like, confirmation that they are actually there. And asking for the spirit to do it again. Like, if something happens, like you hear something, or if you see something, you're like, can you do that again to let me know that you're there? Or, like, knock on the wall or something like that. Then it's kind of like confirmation that the spirit was actually there and it wasn't just your imagination. And I do think it's also very important to be like, you know, sometimes when you watch a scary movie that's actually terrifying and you're, like, scared to go to bed, obviously you're going to have, like, the super, like, overactive imagination, and it's just going to make you, like, think all sorts of things. Like, you hear, like, all the different noises in your house and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get murdered, oh, that's a ghost. When it actually is just, you know, normal sounds of your house, but you're, like, hyper focusing on the sounds. But I do think, you know, separating yourself from that and knowing when it's actually real. But I do think, like, when we get our adrenaline up like that, and if, like, there is a spirit nearby, they do have the tendency to kind of, like, latch on to that energy and, like, do stuff. Because it has happened to me, like, when a spirit would pop up after, like, my adrenaline's up from being scared, and I will do the whole blinking method, and they'll still be there and be like, oh, well, thanks for feeding off my energy and, like, carrying me. Like, I appreciate it. But how about you?
The big thing for me is just building up my intuition. I know that we've talked about this before, and people love to say that as, like, this blank statement. It's like when people go, do your research, and then provide no, like, actual ways to help people research. For me, it's really just about building up my intuition and trusting myself. The easiest ways you can work on building. Yeah, and the easiest ways I feel that you can build up intuition is by doing simple things like taking baths with a candle. You pour the candle wax into the bath, scoop it. What's the first thing that you see? And what's the symbolism behind that? And just doing little things like this, doing things like pulling tarot cards that you already know the answer to. Like, you already know what the answer is, so what card did we pull there? Does that correlate? This is how we build our intuition. And you get to a point where when it becomes a matter of other bigger things like spirit communication, you already have such a grounded place in what your intuition is that there's no doubts.
Yeah, you learn to trust
And then if there are doubts, you can do things like Maria said, because you're still a human being at the end of the day. You're still going to have your moments of doubt.
Especially at the beginning. Like, at the beginning of, like, it's so, I think a lot of people struggle with the whole intuition aspect. But the whole process, I think witchcraft and, like, working with spirits is really a lesson in learning to trust yourself and knowing, you know, what is fake and what is real. Like, eventually you do get there. But skepticism is so important, even when dealing with spirits and stuff like that, because... You know, if it's natural. Always good to, and
no, I think if you are blindly believing things all of the time to be haunted or to be a ghost, that is how you find yourself in the situation where you've invited a demon, a ghoul, a malefic spirit. That's how you do it. It's because you are blindly just like, well, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, well, we've talked about it before, is that people will, like, the spirit will be doing normal spirit stuff that is not painful, but then, you know, someone will be like, oh my god, it's a demon, and they keep putting this negative energy onto said spirit, and then they end up creating, like, an egregore, which...
Yeah. It's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing, and they're like, oh my gosh, it is a demon. It's like, is it a demon?
It is a demon.
But yeah. But I hope that answered everybody's questions on
I hope so.
Like, yeah. Isn't like we talk about it all the time. So you'll hear different, like, tidbits all the time.
All the time. And if you are somebody who's going to try spirit communication for the first time, If you're Maria's child's club, hey, let us know. Also, let us know if we should have the club on the podcast for a coffee talk episode. I think we should. Something to think about.
That would be so cute.
It would be so cute.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. So, okay. I love journaling and I will talk about it all the time because it is amazing. I did take, okay, I still journaled here and there, but it wasn't like anything steady like I was doing at the beginning of the year because it just gets so tiresome if you're going through a bad period, especially when you have chronic pain, that you're like, today I'm in pain again. You know, it just gets so repetitive and you're like, I don't know what else to say. Like, my life is a misery. So,
Is a misery.
yeah, you get it. You get it. I sung that like a lot the past few months, and now we watched Rocky Horror Picture Show like a couple weeks ago, and Scarlett was like, "If I hear this freaking song." No, you're showing me it later.
No, I'll show you right now.
Okay, show me.
It says, "I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey," which is...
Oh, that's so cute!
My brother and I have matching Rocky Horror Picture Show tattoos.
That's adorable. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that very
do.
much. You guys are cute.
This.
But yeah, I've been starting to journal again and get into the groove of it, and I've missed it so much. And like, especially the journal that I have been using, because I think I have finally found the journal that like really speaks to me and that I feel like I could just buy like a ton of them and be very happy for like the rest of my life, even though I still buy really pretty ones and use them occasionally. But anyways, but I don't know, it's just been nice reconnecting and not talking about pain all the time. I still have my bad days, which is fine. Like, I'll still journal those days, but at least they're broken up here and there with the good days and stuff so I can reflect and like treat myself with compassion and stuff like that. But also with like journaling, I've been getting outside more because I've missed being outside. I've just felt so miserable being outside. And then because I also found out this year that I have seasonal allergies and my body has like been struggling with that on top of everything else. So I was like terrified to go outside as much as I was going outside. But now I'm trying to make it a point to go outside like once a day, like, and doing stuff.
It's just falling apart.
I am falling apart. I am. That's like the story of the year. I'm falling apart. But I'm sewing myself back together like Sally. Like, eventually we'll get there where we're all together.
Like
again.
Sally. Oh my god. There must be something in the air. And welcome to this week's episode of Coffee Talk, where Robyn sings the whole time and everyone wishes she would stop.
No, we should just have a singing episode, like a special singing episode. It would be terrible.
Like
so bad. Everyone's like, we did not sign up for this. Canceled. It's canceled.
The amount of reviews that we get that just goes, please, no. Do not listen to this episode.
But then our Discord babies would be like, do it.
Yes,
do it.
Yes. They'd be like, yes, do it. I already can see the podcast discussion channel being like, so when are we getting the musical episode?
Never.
No, you little rats.
Oh no. So, Robyn, what is not stirring your cauldron this week?
Thank you so much for asking. And the answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. We happen to be recording on a day where my husband sent me away for the night. because I've been having a really hard time. I've been really sleep deprived. Shout out to my 10-month-old for that one. He sent me away for the night so I could sleep, and I slept for 12 straight hours. So I'm in a really great mood. So nothing is not stirring my cauldron, which is why I'm going to talk about Laura's new book, Mexican Magic. So excited that this has come out. I haven't read it in full yet, but I've read snippets of it, and it's good. Very excited about it. I love Laura, as you guys know. We had her on before. Probably going to try to get her on again next year.
We should.
But this could not be coming out at a better time, especially considering the fact that we just talked about Day of the Dead and all that. I'm so excited about this book. So I'm really, really jazzed that we get to do that we get to read that. And that's what's stirring my cauldron, which is an offshoot of not stirring my cauldron because I'm in a great mood.
She's such a great author. Like,
she is. And Laura is so smart. Like, so her research on things outside of her own personal experiences, they are like deep. Like, her and I one time had a whole conversation about indigenous people, because Laura is from the same region of Mexico, the same city in Mexico that my family's from. And we've had like full-blown conversations on like the native peoples from that region, and she's so smart. So yeah.
yeah.
I'm very jazzed. I think it's exciting. Go buy that book. You're gonna love it. If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about creators that we are loving right now. This could be anyone from businesses, Instagrams, books, art, just anything that we're loving right now that we think you guys might love as well. And as a reminder, we do have a third option, which is a listener choice. So if you've got somebody that you think is super cool and that you think the community would love to hear, send us a message, email us, DM us, whatever. Just send us a message. That being said, Maria, who is your choice this week?
So I actually got sent a Oracle deck that I absolutely love. Like, it's so beautiful, and I've been a long time like fan of her artwork. But I got
first time caller, long time fan.
Yeah, let's see, the Dark Goddess deck.
Not you doing the holding it up like it's a makeup tutorial. What a dork!
It wasn't like doing it like. But anyways, I have to do that for like when I do videos for Instagram all the time because I'll just focus somewhere else. But anyways, oh yeah. But anyways, it's by CaitlinmcCarthyart, and just her goddess like pictures are so beautiful. Like, I actually have bought like a ton of artwork from her. Like, my wife and I typically gift each other her artwork during Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh no, it's our aesthetic and we really love it. But this deck, I don't know. It is so good. And it's so like diverse when it comes to the goddesses. Like, she just doesn't have, the Celtic goddesses and white goddesses. There are, black goddesses. There's Native American goddesses. And it's not just that, obviously, but it's so
that's all the goddesses.
Diverse. And like, it's so diverse. And I love the descriptions and the themes that she chose for the goddesses. Like, they fit perfectly. And I've already been called out by doing the reading with them. And
the Theodore deck that you got me for my birthday is so brutally honest to me. I'm just like, okay, relax. Calm down. I'm just a girl.
This deck because I want to look at boobies and butts.
Yeah, like, stop yelling. I'm here to see girls kissing. Please stop abusing me in such a manner.
Oh, that's such a vibe. But yeah, who are you loving? And I love your choice.
Thank you. I am not going to sit here and pretend like I know how to pronounce this, but it will be in the caption. It's plusidhe. It is Brett Manning. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her art, but she does a CD. I don't know. It's in the caption. Check the caption, guys. But she's doing these like little stuffies, and they're so stinking cute. They're so stinking cute. Jess of What's Up Weirdo podcast is actually who informed me that Brett Manning is doing this. And I was like, immediately, yes. I have, in fact, already ordered some stuff for my children. So 12 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, you didn't have to wait for a product drop and you just went ahead and got one?
I just went ahead and got one. Can you believe it?
Who is
also,
she?
if you are my husband listening to this, no, I didn't. I didn't buy that. Somebody sent that to us. That was a gift from God.
The holidays are coming up, Frank. The holidays.
Yeah, relax. Oh my goodness. Our listener choice this week is by one of our beautiful Discord members, Autumn. She sent it to us. It is called Familiarsad, which is a sticker shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So cute. Like, there's so many cute things.
Artwork. So cute.
It's so cute.
And witty.
They are funny. Yeah.
I like
so
them very much.
Very cute. They're on Etsy, I believe, is the link that we were given for that.
Yes.
So freaking cute. So
I know.
10 out of 10.
I like.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like all the different things, like tarot card, like archetypes, but it's like different ones. Like, let's see, the True Crimer, the Sanity.
The collector one fit the Discord, which is, I believe, why she originally sent it to us in the first place.
Yes, because some of us are tarot deck collectors, not hoarders. Not hoarders. Yeah. Guys, listen. Couldn't be me. I don't have anything. So I don't even own a single deck. It's actually sick. I'm out here just still hoping someday that I'll get one. Did I tell you that my guides called me out for like thinking about pretty journals? Yeah, and they're like
you got a million of them.
Yeah, it's
you
literally
already have so many, Maria.
An extra card that's included into one of my tarot decks that literally means hoarding. And I was like, thanks, guys. Thanks.
I get it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just a girl.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you all so much for joining us this week. We hope to see you again on Friday, October 25th for our Coffee Talk episode, or November 1st for the 16th episode of Season 5. You can keep an eye out on our social media or head to our website, coffeeandcauldrons.com, to find out more information and see what we're up to. And don't forget to join us on October 26th for the 26th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our latest class with Aiden Wachter, the author of 6 Ways and Changeling.
Yes, very excited for that class.
Very jazzed.
Very excited. And you get like a whole backlog of other classes. I mean, come on.
We have, I believe, 20 classes backlogged now if you join the library tier, which is huge.
A lot.
Yeah, and we've got huge names on there. We've got people like Lila Thorsey, Teresa Reed, I think Tenny did a class for us. Oh, but also the audio on that one was weird, I think.
Yeah.
We've got Chaotic Witch Aunt. We have Warrior Witch, Nike. We have an automatic writing class by Amanda Paulson. We have so many classes backlogged. So we hope that you join us there because there are some really great lectures.
Yes. And additionally, our Patreon Magic Beginnings offers a special 25-minute part 2 episode, a huge library of articles about witchcraft, and a Discord community full of fun events, people, and discussions. Like, we always have something going on. Like, last night, I literally did a group spell with everybody. Like, there's always something going on.
We just did a really cool light-based meditation as well, which I think we're going to do next month also.
Yeah. And we even have a tier that offers one-on-one conversations with Robyn and myself. So.
There's actually 2 tiers for that now. There's one that comes with the box and one that does not come with the box. So there's 2 price points.
Yeah.
And please, if you are loving our sexy, sensual, chef's kiss voices, take a moment to review us from whatever streaming service that you are tuning in from, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever. We love reading your reviews and rating us with 5 stars, but it all helps us to be seen by others. Thank you for everyone who has already rated us and everyone who will in the future. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah, we do. So again, this is Coffee and Cauldrons.
With Robyn from At a Tired Witch Everywhere.
And I'm Maria from At Maria the Arcane Everywhere.
All right, you ready?
Yes, let's do it. 1,